Welcome to Life Mastery Radio with Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey, the show that dives into the science of higher consciousness with inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. Join Todd, Jackie, and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. It's all right here with stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Now, here's your hosts, Todd and Jackie.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and mostly because, well, there's a couple of reasons for that. It's Life Mastery Radio Day. I get to hang out with one of my good friends, Jackie Bailey, and we get to rub elbows with some really cool people. We bring on guests who are on the cutting edge of their own becoming and teaching others how to do it. So this is probably every Tuesday at 10 a.m. This is probably the highlight of my life. Same with Jackie, right, Jackie?
Absolutely. Tuesdays.
The other reason it's groovy is because I decided when I woke up, the minute my eyes opened, it was going to be a groovy day. And many of you already know that's the way the day turns out. Something might happen, something might change, but I always think back. I started out groovy. This can change. Might have to take a break, might have to go for a walk, but it always happens. And when I put my head on the pillow at night, I can always think back and say, wow, what another cool day. I can't wait for tomorrow. Welcome to Life Mastery Radio, the talk show that brings you great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. We're all on a journey, and this show is dedicated to giving you a set of tools, maybe opening some doors, planting some seeds that will help you on that journey. I guarantee it, right, Jackie? I mean, every guest we have on every week has some great thoughts and ideas that just wake people up, or if not, they know where they heard it, right here on Life Mastery Radio. As always,
we are spewing all kinds of secrets out there.
Spewing. There's our word for the day: spewing. As always, my co-host is here with me. Makes the show from a different perspective.
Makes it different. Yeah, it just makes it different.
I couldn't imagine doing the show on. I just couldn't do it. How are things at the Speak Feed Lead Project?
Well, last Friday we had our Speaksgiving 4-hour live streaming event, and it was fun. And we had some great stories shared. Some students joined us, as well as people who like to work with kids and support kids. And so we heard some great messages. And for 4 hours, we just commanded our stage, and we shared and we talked and we played a little bit, created some stories together, and we raised a few bucks here and there, but we did good. So it was fun.
And today is Giving Tuesday. Is that right?
It is.
What is today?
What was that?
What is today all about? Today's Giving Tuesday, and people can find a nonprofit and make a Merry Christmas for them.
Yeah, Tuesday is a grassroots effort that started 10 years ago now, I think. And it was just a way to say, hey, here's a day of the year where if you don't already give, you can find a nonprofit that you resonate with and, share some love. And so today is Giving Tuesday. We aren't necessarily promoting a lot of Giving Tuesday because we did so much with the Speaksgiving. But if you're out there, you're listening and you're thinking, I want to help a nonprofit today, and I want to help kids today, well, you can always provide a gift to the Speak Feed Lead Project. And we are always helping kids to get their voices out there into the world. So go to speakfeedlead.org, and then you can click on the tab that says Giving Tuesday. It's right there, easy to see, and just share with us a gift, large or small.
Or I have an alternative.
What's that?
You could go to Todd Allen Cutterback's Facebook page and look for your birthday fundraiser, because guess what? Today's Jackie's birthday, and there's a fundraiser right there on my page, and you can donate directly to the Speak Feed Lead project. I think that's Speak Feed Lead, right? That's
yeah. I mean, Toastmasters. I'm sorry, Facebook did it just basically with me, but because it's my birthday, they didn't recognize that the Speak Feed Lead project fan page is also me. But
it's not for Jackie, it's for the kids.
It's not for me. It is for the nonprofit. So thank you for that. Yes, it is my last year in the 50s today.
Mighty fine to be 59. That's the way you got to look at that. It's mighty fine to be 59.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember those days. No, I'm just kidding. I want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net or .com. You can go there. Any links that we talked about on the show today are on that show page for today. There are many things that you can explore on that website. There's our newsletter. Jackie creates a newsletter once a week, and it highlights who's been on the show, who's coming on the show, and a blog post about the show that week. So it's really cool. It's a great way to stay updated. And I guarantee you that if you read her blog post, you will be enticed to go to our YouTube channel and watch that show, because she just makes it all click together, and you almost get the feeling that you're hungry. Oh, I gotta go watch that show.
Gotta go see more.
While you're there, my book is there. You can follow the link to my book on Amazon, 6 Keys to Life Mastery. Jackie's book is there, Self-Centered Leadership.
Kind of behind me here, this way.
Right there, that blue book back there, and the other books that she is a contributing author to. And she just told me she submitted another one today. Man, I got a lot of catching up.
I did submitted a chapter to another contributing book, and I'm excited about this one. It's called
Both our books are it's a quick read, and it's great information, great thoughts and ideas, like I said, for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. Okay, you ready for today's guest? I'm ready, and I think that this is Jackie's guest. So Jackie has an introduction. Take it away, Jackie, and happy birthday to you. I won't sing.
Thank you. Yeah, I am delighted to introduce an acquaintance of mine, a collaborator, someone that for the last, I think, at least 9 months or so, we've met in lots of different networking meetings, because we have a lot of the same passions for people and kids and youth and that kind of thing. So this is Raja Vaidya, and they call him Coach Raja. He's a triple threat: science for the mind, karate for the body, and music for the soul. Over the past 3 years, Raja has provided free Facebook Live coaching on mindset and personal development and helped thousands. His past year, the beta launch of Mind Shift Mastery yielded a 100% success rate in guiding clients to face their fears. After 37 years of Tang Soo Do, did I say it right?
Close. Tang Soo Do.
And coaching, he parlays that into business, life, and relations. He keynoted TEDx New Jersey, I believe.
J&J.
J&J. Oh, J&J.
Johnson & Johnson.
The movie The Marshallist.
Yeah.
And is about to release his new book, Unbox Me, today. Raja is a lifelong stutterer and knows any obstacle can be overcome with the right mind shift. So we are going to be sitting in shift today, I think.
That's right. Well, shift happens. So, deal with it.
So welcome, Raja. It's great to have you with us.
Well, yeah. And Jackie, being a cancer scientist for 25 years, being a martial artist for the past 38 years, you go through a lot of shift. And, so I joke around that shift happens. And, truly, like, when I'm in those environments, I have to be super serious. As a cancer scientist, you're making multi-billion-dollar drugs. And at the karate school, you're shaping the minds of future generations. And truly, that's how I see the martial arts, is that it's not an activity, it is a life-changing event. And so when I have parents sign up their children at my school, I make it very clear, If they come in and train and take it seriously, we'll get along fine. We'll get along great. If they come in and they just treat it like an activity and they're going to quit in 3 months, we're not going to get along great, because that's not what this is, and I make it clear when they join my studio that when I watched the Karate Kid for the first time, that's when I realized that's what I want to do. That's the vehicle that I'm going to use to change my life, to stop getting bullied, and to stop and to gain the confidence that I needed. And it took a while, took several years, but guess what? As a result of me, expanding that mind and believing in myself first when no one else would. At 16 years old, I was a world champion. At 18 years old, I was an Olympic qualifier. A couple years ago, 2013, I got my 6th degree black belt, and 2017, I got inducted into my first Black Belt Hall of Fame. And since then, people started reaching out because that first one, they heard about all the things that I've been doing, and they were saying like, wow, we need to. So now I've been inducted in multiple Black Belt Halls of Fame, and so, gosh, and this whole journey began with the idea that you have to believe in something new about yourself. And when we talk about clients or students or people that we will want to help, Jackie, like, you do a wonderful job with children, helping them to speak feedly. I love that. And that's something like we are going to collaborate with in the future. And my own personal journey of being afraid to speak, like even 5 years ago, before I joined Toastmasters, and being very insecure speaking in front of a group. And I'm a manager. I have to present my data. I have to lead people. I didn't like doing it. I could do it, but I was just doing it just to get it over with, rather than enjoying it. So there's a lot of challenges along that route. And even when I joined karate, like once I got my black belt, my teacher said, Roger, you're a black belt now. You need to help teach. I'm like, what? I have to teach? I can't do that. No way. He's like, no, you have to. You have to. So, he challenged me to break out of my comfort zone too. And what's fascinating is, all of us live in a box of fear. And you said earlier about my book, about Unbox Me Today. It's really about us, all of us who live in this box that we've been designed by society, by our family, by our cultures, by our education, by our history, by our coworkers. So it's tough to break out of that box because we're comfortable in it. But as soon as we do break out of it, first thing you realize is it's uncomfortable out there, outside the box, isn't it? Right? Kind of like you've been in the womb for 9 months and you break out. It's so cold out there, right? It's like your rebirth. But by getting comfortable being uncomfortable for a little while, on the other side of that uncomfortable zone, that's where your greatest successes lie.
Roger, I first thing that comes to my mind is you are in a fascinating field of research, right? I mean, there is so much, but I'm curious if you were putting the two together, because with ailments today, I read many articles and it's all about mindset. So do you ever get into that crossing of those two things on the healing of people and how much that relies on their mindset as well?
Well, I'm on the R&D side, so I don't get to really talk to a lot of patients. But here's what I say to people who are in the hospitals, and I could use the example of, for example, and a lot of my coaching training involves my life stories, because I find real world examples and real analogies to say, look, this is real stuff because it applies to real love and to real life. And let me show you an example from my life. My mother went through a knee replacement surgery, and her mindset at the time was pretty poor because it got infected, and her leg swelled up, and then she was in a nursing home healing, and the nursing home we had called them that day, say, listen, it's the swelling just keeps getting worse and worse. You need to get in at antibiotic line. They had called a nurse to come in on site that morning. 6 hours later, they still hadn't gotten the line in. I said, okay, call an ambulance. We're taking her to the hospital. They fought with us to try to keep her there. My mom is, she's been kind of, I think she grew up poor, so she has this very poor mindset disposition. And
Yeah.
so, you know,
Accept.
yeah. So she just thought, well, this is the way it is. I'm like, why me? You know, and woe is me. I said, Mom, stop that. That's just going to make it worse. And she still doesn't understand that. But me and my sister, who's a lawyer, like I'm a scientist, she's a lawyer. So we fought with them and got her out of there. Took, took the ambulance, and they're common for like why they shouldn't bring an ambulance. They say you may have to pay for it. I'm like, so
Yeah.
it's my mother. Friggin' get the ambulance.
Yeah.
And so we got her in the hospital. She was on high dose antibiotics like vancomycin for I think about 2 weeks, and finally the doctors there said, like, listen, if you had waited another day, it probably would have been too late because she was about to go septic.
Right.
So we caught her just in the nick of time, and I knew it just seeing it. So that mindset for her, I think, made things worse.
Right.
So that knee surgery, that knee replacement that she had, they had botched it, and the doctor should have been sued. I told my parents they really should have gone after him, but they didn't. They didn't think they should because there's a doctor. Always doctors try. I said that's fine, but when doctors make mistakes, just like anybody, they need to compensate you for that. But they never went that route. Instead, they just waited. After a year, my mom still couldn't walk right. So after about 2 years, she finally got another doctor, and this time I was involved with them because they actually just kind of picked a random doctor at the local hospital. This time they got the best one, and I told my mom, look, he's the best. He fixes other people's mistakes. And so at that time, she got both of the knees done, and because I kept her positive and we kept visiting her, in 2 weeks she was actually walking again.
Wow.
After that double knee replacement. And that was the power of her mindset at that time.
It's a big deal. I mean, it's our mind can influence the outcomes and how we feel about it. It's just amazing to me the work that you're doing to help make a difference in people's lives, but on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
if you're not,
this is behind me. You see that, but it started just with trying things out, being okay with like making mistakes. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make or they assume is that you have to be perfect to move forward. You don't have to be perfect. You really don't. And there's a sign up on Facebook headquarters: "Done is better than perfect." And I'm a true example of this. Like in the past 6 months or the past 4 months, I did personally. I conducted 140 interviews in 123 days with a speech impediment, and I'm still not perfect. And you know what I say to that? Oh well, moving on.
I'm
You know?
here.
And as soon as I explain that to people, you know what my attitude is, oh well, let's keep going.
well, here's
Now what do
the
you want to
thing
do?
though, Raja, is your record is perfect, right?
Huh?
You set your record is perfect because you set this goal to do so many interviews in so many days. And you might say, well, my skills aren't perfect, but you met your goal. So you are
Oh,
perfect in that. That's what I'm saying.
and actually, Jackie, I don't know if you knew this. My goal was I drew my line in the sand back in August. I said, you know what? People are out there trying to get you on 100 stages in a year. I said that's only 2 a week. I didn't think that was a lot. I mean, I'm a scientist and martial artist, so for me, like I have the discipline to just add it up. I'm like, well, one a day, and you're only going to do 2 a week. What's so hard about that? I don't get it. So I said, all right, let me do 4 a week. If I do 4 a week, I can get it done in 6 months. So from August to December 31st, my goal was to do 100 interviews. And, and by interviewing people on my show, I got asked to be on other people's shows too. So about 60% were on my platform, and about 40% were on other people's YouTube or a podcast or live show or whatever. And I was hoping and praying I could get it done in 6 months. That didn't happen. I did it in under 4 months, and my goal was to do 100. I did 140. So I felt like Roger Bannister and breaking the 4-minute mile. So for me to do that much, and and during this time also, I was in touch with the NSA, that's the National Stuttering Association, and which is kind of funny because like the NSA is also the National Speaking Association. So my NSA, they I told them that I was doing this thing, and they were all inspired, and I said, listen, I'm not perfect, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I think more than anything, that's what I think people got inspired by. They said, you have to have this sort of like, I remember when I was a kid, like reading Calvin and Hobbes comics, and he would put on his alter ego, and he would say the intrepid spaceman Spiff, venturing forth into a new planet or something, and I always love that word intrepid, meaning fearless, and you really kind of have to understand what fearless means. Fearless is still not having fear. I think it's not caring about what other people think about you.
I learned it to put fear in my pocket and take a step forward.
I have something else to add to that. I've seen so many memes on Facebook saying, fear is, false evidence appearing real. And so for my clients that have fears of the dark, fears of spiders, fears of something else, we use that all the time. But there was a newer one I just heard recently, which I just love. And it is, face everything and rise. And I just love that.
Jackie's the queen of acronyms, so
that part was milder face, didn't it?
Yeah. So Raja, what did you learn then during this process? Because it was a pretty big goal, and not only did you reach it, but you exceeded it. So with talking with all these different people, did you learn something about them, or did you learn something new about you, or both? What
oh my goodness, that's a great question, Jackie. Both really, because by meeting all these people who I wouldn't have thought to interview before, I learned a lot of things. I mean, God, I learned about everything from like, aligning your frequencies and like the woo side of things, or, talking about how, how we can change our diet to improve our like diabetes conditions, everything. I've had several on there that escaped from actual sex slavery in the U.S. and escaped that industry, and now made a life for themselves, and now help women who are, have been victim of assault or the sex trade, and help them to get out of that, how to get, how to make a life beyond themselves. I'm like, just incredible stories, and it just put your own life into perspective. And I think, my God, I thought my problems were bad, and and I have another person who suffered from brain trauma, and he's making a life for himself, and he has his own podcast. There's another person who is autistic and creating his own show. And so all these people, all these amazing humans who with a story, with a challenge, with something to share with the world, I would not have met them, and I would not be inspired by them had I not taken on this challenge myself. So it inspired me, even, because what I look for in life is, I look for the opportunity in everything. Nowadays. Years ago, I had that scarcity mindset, and really, I think my journey started in 2015. Some of you may know about this, some of you may not, but I was in a head-on car crash, and if you look on the right side of my face here, I have some scars here from where I had glass in my head from my head hitting the windshield. So I had glass in my head for 6 months. I couldn't turn my head to the left for about 2.5 years. This eye was tracking differently than the other eye for about a year. And on top of that, I think I must have had like a mini stroke or a concussion, because this side of my face was kind of drooping, and I was slurring my words, and I didn't know that.
Wow.
So it took me about a year to get over and get through all of that, intense physical therapy. And then I joined Toastmasters because I thought I was trying to figure out, what can I do to improve my speaking? Great, now I got a speech. Not only do I have this stuttering problem, now on top of that, I'm also speaking worse. So I had to find a way to do it. And me as a singer, like as an opera singer, I I would like record myself all the time at 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 the rehearsals, so that I could practice and I could hear myself. Am I on pitch? Am I singing it well or not? So I'm a huge advocate of just you know you know teach yourself. And
Mhm.
and so it worked beautifully for karate, it worked beautifully for music, it worked beautifully for science. And a lot of us don't do that. And there's a difference, I think, between passive learning and active learning.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things I teach my children is that, listen, you listening, doing the homework, and just doing what they tell you, that's passive learning. But there's a great term out there that's called apocryphon, knowledge, knowledge which cannot be learned. Okay,
Mm.
apocryphon is a Greek term that you have to learn how to do it yourself. Like, for example, when you ride a bicycle for the first time, no one can tell you exactly how it's going to feel to balance on those pedals and the seat. No one's going to tell you how to what's the feeling of when you lean into a turn. And, that's what I call apocryphon, is that you need to do it to learn it. You can be helped. Someone can advise you. Someone can hold the back of the seat for a little bit, and then they can kind of guide you and help you balance a little bit. And same thing with like learning to swim for the first time, learning how to shoot a free throw into like a basketball net. The coach can tell you as many times, hey, put your feet together, face the basket, point your elbow, put a backspin on the ball, and watch it swish. That's great. That's coaching. You still have to make the shot.
Take action.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, when you take, I'm glad you just said that, because recently I've been saying on my shows all the time is that, like, when I love live shows, because like when you're live, you thrive. And when you take action, right, that's when you get traction in your life.
Mhm.
And
Right.
it's appealing for others too. I think if you're going to relate to a podcast, I mean, Jackie and I don't have a script, it's not rehearsed, and we just enjoy chatting with our guests, and the discussion and the conversation goes where it needs to go. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Raja, what
Yeah.
made you be so vocal? I mean, and I mean this in all seriousness, because
Yeah.
scientists typically are not boisterous, out there kind of people. And then here you are, to add on to that, all through your childhood, you've probably been teased or bullied because of your stutter. And most people would not want to speak because they recognize, I'm going to have a bad reaction to that. So, what is it that prompted you or kept you going and said, heck with all of that, I have something to say? Is there something in your story that was maybe a pivotal moment for
I
you?
I think I've had multiple pivotal moments. I mean, I think throughout everybody's journey, everybody says that life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. But I would correct that. I would say life is a marathon with a series of sprints. And what it is you have to figure out certain times of your life, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to push yourself obsessively. And
Yeah.
by that I mean not obsessively in a bad way, but I mean obsessively as in, are you giving full effort to what you're doing? Like, say someone joins gymnastics for the first time, or they start a dance class, or they start to learn piano. Are you obsessively going after it and learning as much as possible so you can be the best you can be at that skill? We all know it takes about 10,000 hours to learn a new skill. And it doesn't matter if it's learning how to shoot a basketball, learning how to swim, learning how to do jujitsu, or any other, or public speaking. It's something else that
Yeah.
takes a long time to learn. And I thought that because I was teaching at karate, that was good enough. And then once I started taking speaker training through Toastmasters, I realized, wow, there's so much I didn't know. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people, is that there's so much in our blind spot. You don't know what you don't know.
Hmm.
And the reason why you hire a coach, and you need to hire a coach, is that they will shortcut you to your success, because they will find what is the best way with your abilities and skills, and somewhere where they've been and they've seen the road before. Kind of like if before GPSs and smartphones, we'd take out the map, fold it up, and we'd always fold it wrong, and we'd have to draw lines on it and figure out where to go. And if you're going to the beach, for the first time, my parents, being first generation Indians, like they came from a very hot, dry country. They're like, you want to go play in the sand? Why would you ever want to do that? I said, no, it's about playing in the water. But yeah, the sand is right next to it. So anyway, when we would go to the beach, the first few times we had to figure out how to get there with the map. Now, if we use that analogy for our lives, how many of you out there, like, is this you? When you start on the road and you don't have enough gas in the car, forget it, we're not going to go. Cancel the whole trip. Okay, first obstacle, let's get gas. All right, done. We start driving. Oh, it's a red light. Forget it. I don't want to go on this trip anymore. Okay, just wait till it turns green. Okay, all right, moving on. We got on the highway. Oh God, some car cut me off. Forget it. Cancel the trip. And so I'm exaggerating here to prove a point, is that on the way to your goal of getting to the beach, representing your dream of whatever it is that you want to do. You may have a business. You may have a dream of getting into a certain college or a university. You may have a dream of, you run an 8-minute mile and now you want to break a 6-minute mile. Sure, that's fantastic. Or maybe you spend too much time behind the desk. All you need to do is walk 10,000 steps every day to help keep your body circulating and moving. And that way you're in a positive growth mode. You're always burning calories, not just adding them on to your body. And so along that road, how many times have we been, stopped by a red light or pothole or a speed bump and thinking that they were walls that we couldn't get through? See, when I talk about mind shifting, I talk about one of the biggest mind shifts I first talk about is, let's play the game of what if. Let's play the game of what if. All right. What if you were unstoppable and nothing could stop you? What would you do at that red light? You could go through it. What about at that gas station? Yes, fill the gas tank up. Woo! All the way to full. What if you were hungry? Woo! We can make sandwiches at home. We got protein bars, we got grapes, we got apples, we got Gatorade, we got water. Hey, fantastic. Now, I'm using very simplistic ideas to prove a very complicated point, is that along the way to your journey to success, there will be a lot of obstacles. And I want you to expect that there will be a lot of obstacles, because if you expect that the day will be filled with obstacles, when one day you get one where there's very few, you say, wow, that was an easy day. Because now you just rewired your brain to expect something tough. And now your abilities rise above your obstacles. Because you're expecting 1 or 2 a day, 3 a day. And when you don't have it, all of a sudden, you feel like, wow, I did a lot today. This was an easy day. And, as a coach, one of the main principles why I got that 100% success rate for my clients was that we reframed how you see the challenge. There was one of my recent clients who's been with me for over a year in my top tier program, in my VIP program. I talk with her once a week, one-on-one, and we hammer down all the issues and problems and challenges that she has. And I remember a few months ago, she was telling me, well, I used to do this, and I used to let my boyfriends, get back in my life, and I used to let my boss, talk down to me, and I used to, and I stopped her and said, you know what, for the past 20 minutes, you've been telling me you used to. You used to. Do you even realize you said that? And she just stopped and, no, I didn't even realize that. Yeah, so you just validated that you have grown beyond that.
Yeah.
Right now, that person who maybe over a year ago was actually borderline considering taking her life because she had lost all hope, lost her mother, lost her father, lost her brother in the same year. And she has one brother left, and now she, sadly lives alone, can't take the COVID-19 vaccine because she has health issues. And at that time, living in a bad apartment, the landlord, they had a problem with bed bugs. And so I said, listen, you can change. You can move. And she said, oh, but I don't know where I'll move. Everything's more expensive. I said, yeah, I know, but
There's
you
that
can
stoplight.
change. Yeah, there's that wall. There's that stop sign. There's that pothole. There's that flat tire. There's that lack of snacks on the way to the beach. You know, there's 100 obstacles in the way. What are you going to do about it? Now you have two options: give up and quit. Like you know, I give this speech at the karate school all the time. I say, listen, students, this is your time. When you come to karate, you don't have to work out. You don't have to stretch. You don't have to do push-ups. You don't have to say yes, sir. You don't have to listen to any of the black belts and the teachers that came before you. You also don't need a black belt. So what is it that you need? What is it that you want to do? Because you don't have to do anything. You get to do everything here. Your parents are kind enough and supportive enough of you. They love you so much. They brought you to a school that wants you to win. That's our only goal here. We want you to reach black belt. We want you to win. Where else in life do you have that? In school, yes, the teachers want you to get an A, but they're not pushing you the same way that we do. You know, at your work, they want you to get promoted, but they secretly don't because everybody else wants to get, you know, get promoted first. There's that scarcity mindset. You know, what about at the playground? You know, if you're playing basketball with your friends at the playground, yeah, they want you to win, but you know, the other kids want to win first, right? So where else in life do you have a structured program that is designed to help you win? And we want you to win.
And you make it pretty easy too, because you hold a live event on Facebook, what, at least once a week, right?
More than that, yeah.
A couple times a week, 5 times a week.
Yeah.
But my point is people can experience that and watch. So that's the power behind that, is they can watch others succeed and feel that vibration of success and get involved.
Yeah, and not only that, I've had plenty of people that are also in the mindset space, and I think other podcasters will say, "Oh, I don't want them. They're in the same category as me." I'm like, to me, I say, "Nope, bring them in," because number one thing I realize is that it is a blue ocean out there on the internet, right? If me as a mind shift coach, if I'm thinking with scarcity, then what kind of example do I set for my clients and my people?
Or
And
greed.
actually,
The opposite of that would be greed, right?
yeah.
I want to hoard all this. I want to keep all this, and
Yeah.
that doesn't do anybody any good.
Not at all. And so when I bring these other mindset coaches in there, I say, listen, whatever links you have, whatever things you want to share, you've got a lead magnet to your group and your world and bring it, use it, you know. And I freely share all of that info on my show to my groups and to my clients, and you know, and that alone tells people worlds about the kind of person that you are and what you expect and what you want out of life. When I started this whole journey, I had no idea what I was going to be doing with all these interviews. Now I know, and now after having done them and having spoken with the NSA and also going through what I think is there's actual corporate bullying that happens in large corporations. My mission statement now is I want to include speech handicaps as a protected federal handicap under the ADA, under the Americans with a Disability Act, because currently it is not.
Wow.
So people can get away with bad mouthing you, trash talking you. I've heard people in my hallway right down the lab from me saying he has a psychological problem, talking about me, you know, and I'm like, really? I've heard there were 2 construction guys cackling in the hallway about something they heard on the radio. They were laughing about the person's stutter. I was ready to take that guy outside and beat the effing you know what out of him. And I told my manager, and he says, "Oh, no, just calm down. Don't, you know, they don't, you know." And I said, "But why aren't you on my side? Why aren't you talking to him and tell him he was wrong?" So there's this stigma of like, well, if you stutter, you're just shy person and you kind of fit into kind of that box. And people box me in on that a lot. And so another reason why I fought so hard to get out of that, I want to break that stigma because I am not shy or quiet. I am kind of an introvert. How I recharge is I love to sit quietly with my piano and just play. You know? So I'm an introvert.
You know, you're not the first person that I've heard got help or help with that ailment from Toastmasters. A quick story is about a woman who stuttered all her life, and she was in her mid 40s and or early 50s and joined Toastmasters, and her kids had never known her not to stutter, never, their entire life. And she joined Toastmasters and then had a family get together, and she actually spoke without stuttering and just knocked the socks off her kids. It's a pretty cool story. So you're not, and I've heard multiple stories of things like that occurring because of the Toastmasters program. So
and what really Toastmasters taught me was that there's a lot more to speaking than just the words coming out of your mouth. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Confidence.
Well, I mean, my confidence was, I believed in myself. I had that confidence already, but I didn't have that confidence of speaking or of being heard. So whenever there was an opportunity to speak, I'd say, no, thanks. You know.
Now I bet you can't not jump at the chance, right?
Now I jump at it. Oh, absolutely. Every single chance I get. So look, I mean, after I did this 140 interviews and now, you know, now I'm on the NSA's radar. Actually, this morning I just got contacted by a person who owns a phone coaching app, and he asked me, listen, I need someone to do 150 interviews for all the members of that app, and that way you'll get exposure to every single one of their groups as well. And that way, that'll be the intro for people who want to decide to sign up for the app and sign up for the coaching programs within the app. And the reason why they asked me, and I said yes today, is that, you know what? I did 140, actually, so now I've actually done over 160 now, and it didn't take me that long. So, you know, I can go back to doing, you know, 10, 12, or 15 a week. At the peak, I did 22 interviews in 7 days.
Wow, I was way off. A couple.
Well, I mean, I wanted to test my systems and see where it would break. And, you know, there were some cracks in my systems, and then I found out what they were, and I plugged them up, and it's just smooth sailing. And, you know, a lot of the podcasters out there that are doing some great shows once a week.
That's something you touched on earlier too, about learning, is you put yourself in a situation of feeling uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
And right. And you had this great learning experience. I know for me, I really don't learn anything unless I'm doing it or in the middle of it, or, you know, I mean, really learn something, right? I could read a book or something, but it's the actual hands-on, physical, figuring out,
doing it, making mistakes along the way. The first 50 interviews were pretty rough, and I figured out along the way a lot of mistakes and a lot of things, and how to make your guests feel welcome, how to make them feel comfortable, and how to be a good guest on somebody else's show. If you notice, I showed up on your show pretty early. I was already dressed. I had everything. I had my lights, my mics, and everything, and then I got my bottle of water already set up. So I'm here for you. This is your time, and I respect that. And I've seen so many podcast guests that don't do that. They don't realize that, you know, you should show your best manners, right? Manners are just basically showing respect to people, that you appreciate their time.
Well, see, that's something Jackie and I learned from Toastmasters.
Yeah.
It's true though. I mean, there's so much opportunity.
That's someone timing you in everything you do, so you learn how to use your manage your time well. But that also includes how to respectfully introduce somebody, how to set the stage for their success, which is a really important skill too. Because if you can help the person you're with to feel that they are the special one, then you're going to win a lot of friends and you're going to influence people, as Dale Carnegie would say.
Yeah.
And Raja, what I like about your story is that
Yeah.
I have several students who are also in martial arts.
Yeah.
And in fact, they have spoken on summits to talk about how that has given them that inner peace and the confidence and the courage to speak out more. And so this is not the first time I'm hearing this, and it's amazing to me that when we pull out that strength within,
Yep.
let it go with our voice. And
Yeah.
so I really appreciate that from you. And it's also funny that you were inspired by the Karate Kid, because I think there were probably a lot of kids who
There
saw
was
that.
a lot of analogies to that. At the time, I was 7, he was a transplant to like another school. I had moved to a new school where I was originally up in Northeast Philadelphia when my parents came here to America. So we went to a school that was very diverse. We had every single nationality and character that was there, and then we moved to the suburbs, and I was the one Indian kid in a sea of all white kids. And you know, to me, I had to learn that I was different. I thought that I was the same as everybody else, because that's how my previous school was.
Yeah.
But I learned very quickly that that's not how the other kids saw me. And so one of the public service announcements I say all the time to people, do not confuse Indian with Native American,
Right.
because we just had November 1st was supposed to be American Indian Heritage Day. Well, that is a really wrong term to be using for the people that is actually representing, and at worst it could be deemed offensive. So when my daughter a couple of weeks ago had to speak for her school announcements, she had that term American Indian, and I sent a nice email to the principal and her teacher, said, I have rewritten this with the correct and appropriate terminology, and this is the way that she should speak it. If this is an issue, please contact me, and I will gladly come with my lawyer, and we can discuss it properly.
Wow.
And with the school board. He called me the next day and apologized profusely, say, oh, I can't believe that got in there. That should not have been in there. That I understand. We do cultural sensitivity with all the teachers and with the students. We make sure every culture and every holiday is respected. I said, that I know, that's great, but last year was the same problem. That teacher, there was one teacher in 3rd grade that my daughter went to, which kept saying that, and I had to email her and the principal again and say, listen, this. Honestly, it pisses me off, because when I was in 2nd grade, when I was in school, the kids, when the teachers were teaching about American Indians, the kids in the class thought I was an American Indian, and I said, "Oh, do you live in a teepee? Are you friends with are you friends with the buffalo? Is your father's name Ten Bears?" I'm like, no, what the hell is this stuff? These people are not Indian. So one of those public service announcements I make to everybody: what part of India are the American Indians from? And then you laugh because then you realize the mistake.
Yeah.
And I remind people, Christopher Columbus was trying to find a shortcut to India to find a spice route so he could profit. And so unfortunately he found, instead he found this new continent, which is great. He discovered something new. But we should not continue this mistake for 500 years. We know better. So from now on, it's either Native Americans or indigenous peoples, and Indians are people of Indian descent from the subcontinent of India.
Right.
Oh my goodness, my friends, it looks like we have about 8 minutes left.
That's it? Wow.
Is there anything that we're missing, Raja? I mean, we talked about a lot of things. Maybe describe for us what it would be like if I found your Facebook page and listened in on one of your live streams.
Oh, certainly. Well, what I love to talk about is I give my guests the opportunity to be themselves, to create the most impact that they can. So what I try to do is, if I have clients that are in my mastermind groups, that's a separate kind of a training. But for all the guests that I bring in, I'm trying to bring in subject matter experts in five main areas: health, wealth, mindset, faith, and family. So if they fit into like one of those lanes, we ask them to speak on like one of those lanes. And so that way we can take away just 3 tangible points of what is it that we can do to change our lives. And earlier we were talking about a Karate Kid, and I want to show, oh, excuse me, and I want to show you something here. Is that behind me here, you see, this is a still shot from our movie, and this is Coach Raja, and at the top it's kind of cut off, but it says "Fight to Live," and that's really been my life. Is that as much as people say, "Oh, you're so inspiring," I said I was just in survival mode. I had to find a way to gain respect as a person who doesn't speak right, and that's all it was. And by doing so, that made a lot of other people learn from my experiences. And this this was the Marshallist cast. This was the original one. And that's 8 of us. That's all real masters with at least 30 years experience, all of us. And it is about the way that we live our lives as real martial artists. And Jackie, you've heard in all these other groups I've been in, several of them, I talk about my black belt creed. I talk about I want the people that are around me to behave with integrity, loyalty, and honor. And that whole idea about it's just business, it's not personal. We can go ahead and stab somebody in the back. We can go ahead and insult somebody on Facebook or make these horrible memes about different politicians. I don't like mudslinging, because I think that shows a lack of character. I think that shows that you're so weak that you have to cut someone else down to make yourself feel better. In other words, that's bullying. And just like Captain America, I didn't have a lot of power when I was growing up, but I had that attitude that I didn't like bullies, no matter where they came from. So so people ask me like, which Avenger are you? I'm Captain America, and karate was my super serum. That turned me into the next version of me. So this is like Raja 2.0. And now as a speaker, now I'm Raja 3.0. And then now as a coach, now I'm Raja 4.0. And so with each like iteration, I feel like it's just exponential in the kind of growth that you get. And I wouldn't be here without my wife, my children, and the people around me that have been so supportive. And I've been blessed that you said, Jackie, like you have your books out, and Todd, so do you. I have 2 compilation books coming out next week on a Times Square billboard. So I'm super excited about that. And on top of that, I have 2 other books already in the works. One you already know of. That's the Unbox Me Today. Here's a little mock-up.
Yay.
And the other one, which I think is really going to change the world, it's called Hug a Bully. And what that book is really about is about bullies get a bad rap, which for good reason, but yet why did they become bullies in the first place? So and here's a funny story. Oh my God, I still have this here. So this guy, so Saturday night, I just had my 30-year high school reunion. This was my picture when I graduated high school. I was 18 years old. There's that. So I've been saying all this time about this like skinny Indian kid with Coke bottle glasses. I had the freaking hugest glasses, and I was a skinny kid, so the glasses looked even bigger on me. So that was me. And I survived my childhood, but at that reunion, I had mentioned in our Facebook page that I want the stories from people about how they were bullied when they were younger. Were they the victim or the bullier? And step 2, what do they think about as adults about bullying when they look back? And the step 3, which is the most important, what do you teach your children to break the cycle of bullying?
That's powerful.
And these are from the actual people that bullied me. And one guy there, I'll tell you, and he's going to take up a big chapter in the book. One guy there was one of my worst bullies of my entire life. Made fun of my stuttering, my culture, and everything. And he got a couple of other kids to do to actually do a stuttering song during recess. So if you've ever seen those scenes in like Carrie or in Stranger Things where there's the one kid in the center and the entire class is laughing at them, that was me.
Yeah.
That was me. And that's kind of one of those pivot points. I decided I'm going to find a way to change.
Yeah.
And for me, that's when I saw Karate Kid. That's when I joined karate. That's when life started changing for me.
Oh my goodness, we are out of time, Raja. I really appreciate you have so many great stories. I hope you'll come back on because I think there's some more things that we could talk about.
We could definitely do a part 2. I'm more than happy to do that because I could go on for hours. So part 2 will be even more fun.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Namaste, my friend. And
thank you, my good friend.
Keep up the great work. You're doing some wonderful things in the world, and anything that we can do to help people, I think, is great work.
Yep, indeed.
That's about all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Look for us again next week. We'll have an amazing guest just for you with great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey.
Beautiful.
Lastly, please make it a great day because it is all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to Life Mastery Radio. Join Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery through stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Visit their website, www.lifemasteryradio.com. Join their mailing list and be notified about upcoming guests. That's lifemasteryradio.com.